world's most famous wax museum. This program includes flashing lights.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
It's a great honor to be immortalized.
Welcome to a world where stars are made, not born, recreated in amazing lifelike detail.
You know, you could get into premieres with that thing if you wanted to.
So this is what it feels like to grope me.
Welcome to a world where the people rub shoulders with the famous, and the famous get to see themselves as never before.
They look fantastic. I love it!
Yeah.
Welcome to a world where artists and craftsmen use centuries-old techniques in pursuit of an age-old quest to produce the perfect human likeness.
You never know who's for real and who's not. And so I guess the only way to find out is put them out in the sun.
It all started with the vision of one remarkable woman. Now the attraction she founded 200 years ago is coming to the USA. Welcome to the most famous wax museum in the world, Madame Tussaud's.
Big Ben, and that's ahead of you, Westminster Abbey.
Most visitors to London have a must-see itinerary, and Madame Tussaud's is right up there with Trafalgar Square and Big Ben. Madame Tussaud's is a British institution, so too is the line which greets every new arrival to the attraction. The queue can stretch up to a mile in length in high summer, with visitors from all over the world drawn by the lure of celebrity.
Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, Frankenstein possibly.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I hate the Spice Girls and Britney Spears.
I think this does a better job in the wax personalities than probably any place in the world.
Stay to the right, please. To the right.
Madame Tussaud's gets 3 million visitors through its doors every year.
Very well.
That's twice the number of visitors to the White House. Once inside, your ticket buys a close-up look at 387 of the most famous people in the world.
Fire on the set! Lights, sound, rolling. Speed! Action!
It's a damn good John Wayne.
Yeah.
He's tall.
That is a good John Wayne.
For once, it's the celebrities who are the captive audience.
God, it looks just like he does in the films. Come on. That is so lifelike. Oh my God.
The only other place the famous will be quite this close is in your dreams.
I don't know if you can give him a hairy chest. Last time I came here, I was very young, so I remember being a bit bewildered by the whole thing, but thinking that I was actually seeing all my childhood idols and celebrities actually in the flesh. But coming here now, I mean, the technology is just absolutely amazing because, I mean, some of these, you actually feel like you're standing next to the person.
Holy cow. This is huge. It is.
The figures are drawn from every period of history and every walk of life. It takes about 2 hours to see the whole attraction.
I think it's amazing that they got all these people to model. That's really good, Rob. Yeah, it looks like hair too, doesn't it?
They do a really good job with the hair.
It is hair.
I know.
It's really short hair. I thought it was like spray paint.
They get real hair for it.
I must have said a million times, I can't believe the size of this person.
Right,
I thought
right.
they had a different characteristic. I thought Sean Connery was much more broad-shouldered. Just different physical characteristics that film hides that you can't get through the replicas.
They have to capture that, like, one essence of the person and the way they act. And so I would think it's difficult. I mean, they do a great job on 95% of them.
Yeah,
definitely. They're a little off.
The game all visitors to Madame Tussaud's love to play is judging just how close the wax portraits are to real life.
Here's the test. Can you name all the presidents? All right, go from the right.
Oh, wait, hold on. Washington, Bush, Lincoln, Clinton. That's a good bill. He looks guilty as hell. I did not do it. But you're right, though. That Bush one is really good.
Like, yeah, the facial, though, like,
see, the Clinton
material,
was
like,
like,
is
right.
more skin-like.
You know, and they capture, like, the way they look all, like,
You mean their facial?
commonly,
Yeah,
like, their facial, like,
yeah.
the lip up, and, like,
Yeah.
Clinton was always like...
I don't think that Reagan's too good, though.
Reagan was kind of out of it most of the time anyways. He looks kind of out of it. It's a great collection of people they got up here.
Well, there are a number of other wax museums around the world. A number of them, in fact, rather flatteringly, try and copy some of the things that we do. But the biggest single difference, I think, between ourselves and other wax portraits is the quality of what we do in terms of the actual finished wax portrait.
What the visitor to Madame Tussaud's does not see is the massive effort behind the scenes where the portraits are made. Here in Madame Tussaud's studios, skilled craftsmen aim to recreate the stars in complete and total accuracy. The team is working on a special project, Britain's most famous girl band, the Spice Girls. It's the first time Tussaud's have portrayed a complete band since the Beatles. The figures are almost finished. Tomorrow, the real baby, scary, sporty and posh have the daunting prospect of coming face to face with themselves.
Oh my God! Isn't that weird? That is me! Wow. I look a bit scary, don't I? Fantastic. I love it!
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I think she looks very sexy and very beautiful.
I think it's brilliant, Jim. Well done.
So this is what it feels like to grope me. Well done, everybody.
Behind the scenes at Madame Tussaud's, the world's most famous wax museum, the British girl band, the Spice Girls, see their wax doubles for the first time.
That big.
I looked at it and I said, yeah, it's great. I said, but it's just too short. I'm much taller than that, but I'm actually not.
Like that length with pigtails?
No, this length with pigtails.
At this stage, the figures are very nearly finished. They will be unveiled to the public in just a week's time. It's the last chance for the craftsmen of Tussaud's to fine-tune their creations.
Yeah, this cut and it goes over to one side and then you can see in that picture there.
But my colour's not right, is it?
Yeah.
And I haven't got a belly button like that. I've got a little one.
It took a lot longer than I expected. It really did take a long time. And I didn't realise quite how accurate. I mean, the measurements are unbelievable.
I do that.
We were given access to the inner secrets of Madame Tussaud's portrait-making process. Professional sculptors are employed, established artists in their own right, to create each celebrity's likeness in clay. Using the same techniques established by the original Madame Tussaud over 2 centuries ago, a plaster mould is created around the clay head. The mould is then filled with molten wax. Once the wax is set, the head can be cast. No one has yet found a better material than wax as a basis for mimicking the human likeness in 3D.
We like to use wax not only because it's the historical tradition that Madame Tussaud herself used hundreds of years ago, quite literally, but because it is one of the best materials to help show the translucence of skin. You can put veining detail and pore detail and so on much more convincingly in wax than any other material.
Each figure is a major investment by Tussaud's. They take 6 months to complete and cost an average £30,000 a piece. And unless their subject is dead, like Buffalo Bill, or refuses to meet the sculptors like Woody Allen, the process begins with an intense scrutiny of the subject in the flesh. Beverly Hills, Hollywood. Two of Madame Tussaud's sculptors are over from London on a new assignment. The 3-times world champion ice skater Michelle Kwan is the latest celebrity to be chosen by Tussaud's to be immortalized in wax.
Michelle, this is Jenny from Madame Tussauds.
It will be a technically challenging portrait. The team must capture the grace and beauty of an Olympic athlete in mid-performance.
Now that's incredible.
Yes. So that you get the whole...
Tussaud's principal sculptor, Steve Swales, is on hand to supervise. But the portrait has been entrusted to 26-year-old Jenny Ferry. She's Madame Tussaud's latest recruit, and this will be her first major assignment.
That's pretty real. You got him exactly. It is a photograph, isn't it?
That's the real man.
This is how the whole portrait-making process begins, with an intense 3-hour session called the sitting. The team's first priority is to agree with Michelle on how she should be portrayed.
Without you moving.
Yeah. I think it'd be better just looking more.
Sort of, so eyes straight. Yeah.
Because down it
yeah.
I
So,
wouldn't want it
yeah, so
down. More of like...
level, yeah.
Not level, lower than eye level.
Yeah, something that you're...
Nose moves very well. It's exactly the same. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, you can get back into the pose for me.
It's vital that Jenny establishes a good relationship with her subject. The sitting is a precise and intimate affair, even for people in the public eye used to being appraised.
Do you like that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Michelle Kwan's body will be mapped out thoroughly from every angle. In all, Jenny and Steve will take over 200 separate measurements.
Sternum to spine.
Hang on, I'll do both.
126.6.
This is the essential groundwork for a realistic portrait.
I'm not going to hurt you.
I've got the whole head.
Jenny must return to London with all the information she will need to reproduce Michelle Kwan's body in total 3D accuracy.
Oh, I can sit now.
Madame Tussaud's pride themselves on the technical quality of their figures caught in movement, like Russian gymnast Olga Korbut and the English ballet star Darcy Bustle.
It's a great honor to be immortalized, because when you look back at it, I can take my grandchildren and tell them, this is how Grandma used to look like, with no wrinkles. Do you want to put something more comfortable on? Yeah, sure. All right. I'll be back in a flash.
The measurements don't always stop at the sitting. Supermodel and actress Elle Macpherson took time out from her schedule to check her portrait in the making.
It's very impressive, I have to say. I've never seen my nose on profile.
Elle Macpherson is called by Madame Tussaud's studios in London for what's called a side-by-side.
You can get rid of some of my wrinkles if you want.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Come out.
The side-by-side gives sculptor Jim Kempton a chance to check the accuracy of his portrait.
Oh, you just added another wrinkle.
I didn't. No, no. It's a smile crease. It's a big difference. Smile again. Yeah.
Time is running out in LA at the Michelle Kwan sitting.
Right. Yeah. What do you think of that, Jenny? I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That one. Name in it. What would you say?
Unfortunately, Michelle won't be coming to London in the near future. The sculptors must make sure they've got all the information they need from this session. Michelle signs the sittings book, and the first stage of the process is complete.
Great.
I'm really buzzing now. There's real excitement, the whole thing. You're just running on adrenaline, I think. Just trying to remember everything. There's so many things.
and I forgot loads of things, and luckily Jenny remembered them.
I was looking at her constantly through the sitting, as well as trying to remember to do the measurements, so that little things I can think of. I'm going to go back to the hotel now and write a few things down, remember her face.
Madame Tussaud's has a unique status in Britain. It's an honour even for the biggest celebrities to be selected for inclusion in the exhibition. Today, the Spice Girls portraits are to be unveiled to the public at Madame Tussaud's sister attraction, Rock Circus.
We've got a lot to do today. I've had to move all the figures out of the finale and get these lot in. And I haven't actually seen them put together yet, so... Morning. Ria, give us a hand.
Presenting one new figure to the press is a big event, but a whole rock band is something else entirely. Today's unveiling will be the biggest in Tussaud's recent history, a major headache for PR manager Diane Moon.
It would help if we knew what this thing was called.
Yes, they have different patterns for different things.
I think I'll leave you boys to this. It's magnetic, is it? That's how it's holding on.
Even when the stars are made of wax, they're not safe from the paparazzi.
Then we've got to bring the photographers in front of them.
Okay, cool.
The press are not due for 4 hours, but already one over-enthusiastic photographer has tried to gain a sneak preview.
I went to get coffee, bumped into the guy from UPPA, and I said, "What the hell are you doing here so early?" He said, "I've already been inside, but they chucked me out again." So he bought me a coffee to bribe me to let him in first.
Madame Tussauds in the UK is an institution. We've been brought up with it. We get brought when we're children. We all know it and love it, and perhaps have a very similar feeling maybe towards the relationship that some Americans have with the Disney Corporation, for example. It's a similar type of idea.
It's a military operation, this.
Gonna get shot.
The first bit will be easy because it's film crews. The second bit with the photographers will be the nasty bit. But
Diane Moon wants maximum publicity for the unveiling, while at the same time keeping the unruly British press in order. It's a tough challenge.
I like the snappers best, to be honest. I like the photographers. They're a bit feisty, a bit of a handful, but they're great.
To make it a bit more audible as you go in, could you call us out on the list?
The photographers or snappers from the national dailies have decided they want preferential treatment, but Diane Moon's heard it all before.
There's a queue. We're forming an orderly queue, apparently, because this guy who's been here since 7 o'clock this morning, he's first in the queue. There's a spare ladder, if somebody wants it. It's awful, isn't it? I don't know why I do my
Another photographer.
And then we'll open the curtains to reveal.
Everything's in place and the Spice Girls appear on cue. For celebrities, to be chosen for inclusion in Madame Tussaud's is a measure you've arrived at the top of your profession and in the affections of the British people. Just seconds before the unveiling and backstage, even the stars are nervous. Finally, the moment the press pack have been waiting for.
Sing what? I know, I just heard that. That is amazing. I know, that is pretty like, wow.
I had to stand on this kind of like this circle that went round and round.
Spice Girls Forever is the band's motto, but fame doesn't always last. While selection is an honour, deselection is a fate worse than death. Madame Tussaud's operates a rigorous policy of one in, one out. For every new celebrity added to the exhibition, one must be removed.
Obviously we have to. The London exhibition's been in the same building for over 100 years, and if we'd never taken anybody out, you wouldn't get a single guest in there because they'd be stacked wall to wall. And so obviously people do have to be removed from it.
A few linger on, left literally on the shelf, in a special part of the exhibition reserved for those whose star has waned, but not quite been extinguished. The rest are locked away in the basement, with only each other for company.
It's fairly obvious when people are suddenly going, well, I don't think I recognise that person anymore, and new generations coming forward who perhaps don't remember what they did. And so they tend to deselect themselves.
So are you going to let us into a secret who's next to the chop in London?
No, I'm not.
Back from Los Angeles, Jenny Ferry has begun work on the Michel Kwan portrait. It's built around a metal structure called the armature, which will provide strength and support for the figure.
I'm going to start putting clay on the armature. I like to get a real feel of the pose, especially with something like this, with such movement. I want to really get the feel of Michel Kwan as I remember her.
Jenny has wanted to be a sculptor since childhood and came to Tussaud'S after studying anatomy and sculpture at art college.
I suppose it's all consuming, this sort of job, because it's not something that you switch off after work. You're always looking at people on the tube. Bodies interest me. You know, watching television, everything around you. This is a belly button. In the initial stages of sculpture, I think it really materialises really quickly, and it's the sort of the following weeks when you're desperately trying to get every measurement to be perfect and to get every part of the anatomy exactly right. That's when it takes the time. But at the moment, this is a really exciting stage. It's really good fun because it's just getting the clay on and really blocking it out. It's nice, it's quite free and quite creative doing this bit.
Remarkably, this is the work of a few hours, but from now on, progress will be slower. With the real Michel Kwan rarely far from her thoughts, when we returned 4 weeks later, Jenny was ready to show the sculpture to her boss, Steve Swales. He must approve her work so far before she could move on to the next stage.
I think what it might be, Jenny, that the waist on that side might be just cut in a little bit too much. Can I just see where the small of the back would come? Yeah. You know, if you just do a mark.
Everyone's work is subjected to regular critique at Tussaud'S, and Steve Swales is famous for his meticulous approach.
So that's looking, you know, if anything, it's looking wide, isn't it? Yeah. So it just might need some adjustment through there. And the thing is, you've kept the lovely flow of the figure.
Jenny is currently employed at Tussaud'S on a temporary contract, but there's one permanent job on offer, and Jenny has applied for it. She's under test with the Kwan portrait, and it's crucial that it goes well.
In the end, the person stands by the figure, and you don't want it to be a few centimetres or inches shorter than the person, or too tall, or whatever. So it's those sort of things that we have to check. We try to get it as near as possible to the person. It's not just an artistic impression. But I must say I do have that reputation of being millimetre man.
Right, you have to be.
I love the way you've got the muscle coming through to there. That's great.
Steve is satisfied and gives Jenny the all clear to move on to the next stage.
Okay, I've got the line. I'm a bit low here.
Can you hold that top, please?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right, I'm ready.
Okay.
Could you from that back wide?
Yeah, it's probably all right now because it's above the thing.
With the head now removed from the body, Jenny can work on it in more detail. Her next task will be to fashion the clay into the closest possible likeness of her subject.
Righty, here we go.
In the Grand Hall, there's an international incident brewing. American territory is under threat as staff make room for a new display of British royals.
We'll just leave them there for now, be all right.
Inside Madame Tussaud's Grand Hall, there's a power struggle going on. The American presidents are being shunted from their usual position. No stranger to global conflict, Mrs. Thatcher has become involved along with her hero Winston Churchill.
Cool. And then...
Tomorrow is St. Valentine's Day, and the staff are preparing to tempt the public with a new display of royal wedding dresses. When it comes to royal weddings, the dress designers always make two identical dresses, one for the bride and one for Madame Tussaud's. The new display will feature Princess Diana, along with the two other royal brides of recent years, Prince Andrew's wife Fergie, the Duchess of York, and Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, who married Prince Edward in 1999.
Women are always interested in dresses, the materials, the shapes, the structures, and because it's spreading over quite a few years as well, and then right up to Sophie's wedding recently, you've got the difference in styles in terms of years as well.
Meanwhile, at the other end of the Grand Hall, the American presidents seem to be settling into their new home, even if the neighbours are a bit unsure about all the fuss.
It gives them a fresh lease on life to have a bit of a change, doesn't it?
The new display of royal princesses may have a romantic theme, but it's also poignant. Fergie was divorced from Prince Andrew in 1996. Diana's marriage to Prince Charles was a tragedy lived out before the entire world.
We were looking at the photographs of Princess Diana at the time of the wedding, and the contrast of the way she looked then to the way she looked toward the end of her life is quite remarkable.
Judy Craig showed us the photographs taken at the sitting with the young Diana. This is the first time they've been seen in public.
She didn't want to be seen with a big smile, so she wanted just a more serious look, which was a pity because you can see in this photograph how lovely it would have been if she had been smiling, but no, she chose to have the more serious look.
A potent mix of royalty and romance, the new display soon proves a major hit with the public.
Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous?
Tussaud'S sculptor Jenny Ferry has spent a month working on the head of world champion ice skater Michelle Kwan. She's reached the point familiar to most artists, when the doubts creep in and the work goes slowly.
I've just probably passed the stage of enjoying it and have entered the stage of hate. The thing that I find difficult about portraits is the eyes, and I don't know if that's the case with other sculptors. The life of the person is in the eyes, really, and getting both the eyes to look in the same direction is really crucial.
I don't think you ought to come out too much. I think if you bring it off down that way.
As always, Steve Swales is on hand to offer a bit of advice.
There.
Right.
When I'm getting that level there, that is beginning to look a bit domey and maybe a bit big. So
On here?
Yeah, so it might be that it's got to come off there a little bit.
When I first started working here, I found it very difficult to have anybody come up, look over my shoulder, tell me how to do something, because I've had a lot of freedom before. I've been at art college, expressing myself however I please.
Sort of vast areas.
We do have to be careful about not allowing too much artistic freedom. It would be wonderful to just let something go and do an impression of somebody, but that's not what we're about. People want us to see it as accurate as possible and do a double take and say which is the real one. It's only a certain kind of sculptor who has the patience to be willing to push their technique to those boundaries. It doesn't suit everybody at all.
It's now 4 months since Jenny Ferry met Michelle Kwan in the flesh, and the sculpting stage of the process is almost finished.
I've got the head to a finished state, and I've put it back on the body. With the head, the main thing that I've found a problem is actually getting it to look like bone underneath skin, the cheeks are so difficult. They're so smooth and subtle that I kept trying things and trying different tools as well to really get the smoothness. But I think it's there.
Today is a big day for Jenny. The clay figure is due to be signed off, so work can begin on the next stage.
Yeah. Just a one-off thing.
Yeah. And pull it
Judy
away.
Craig will decide whether Jenny's work has reached the required standard.
Okay, looking at it from the front, it's looking really good. My only concern is what happens at the muscle, what happens here. That doesn't, there's something lacking there, and I don't know without getting someone to stand in the pose and look at it, but it just, even looking at this, that fullness there feels rounder. Maybe it's too far forward here, maybe it needs more form here. But I'd get someone to stand in the pose and just work those muscles going back up into the hair. Yeah, nice wrinkles. The creases.
I'm worried about them because I wanted it still to look like young skin.
Yes.
Yeah. I want it to be sort of deflated.
I think it's beautiful, the way she's done that there.
Good. Well, Jenny, I think you've done a really good job. It's lovely. It is really looking smashing. And you just have those, finishing off those little details and those minor adjustments, and then we're done. So we're ready to do a sign-off. So there you go.
It's a beautiful job, and that's official. But not 1 ounce of Jenny's clay sculpture will end up in the finished figure. It's simply a template for the next group of craftsmen to work their magic. Madame Tussaud's is not just an exotic name. She was very much a real woman. If we could bring her to life today, she would still feel at home in the exhibition she founded 200 years ago. She might not recognize all the figures around her, but they are still made using the techniques she developed, and her spirit remains a constant presence. Born in Strasbourg, France in 1761, Marie Tussaud was a young woman living in Paris when the French Revolution turned her life upside down. She was forced to flee her job in the Royal Palace of Versailles, teaching art to aristocratic children, and joined her uncle, who ran a small wax museum. Marie was given the grisly task of making death masks directly from the severed heads of aristocrats executed by the guillotine. Her experiences are graphically recorded in the Chamber of Horrors in today's exhibition. Haunted by the memories, Madame Tussaud left France for England and started a wax museum of her own. Estranged from her husband and with 2 young children in tow, she began by touring her exhibition around the country.
Even today, how many female business leaders are there? But in those days, I mean, she must have been unique as a single mother, as it were, having left her husband and travelling with her 2 sons, and taking it on a horse and cart around the UK, setting it up, doing the advertising, doing the promotion. I mean, she must have been quite an extraordinary woman.
Madame Tussaud died in 1850 at the age of 89. She left behind a uniquely successful entertainment attraction. Now, taking a leaf out of their founder's book, Tussaud's are branching out again. Every year, 30 million people come to Las Vegas in search of entertainment and fun. It's the country's 5th most popular holiday destination, and Tussaud's hope it's exactly the right place to unveil their particular brand of fun to an American audience. Madame Tussaud's opened their Celebrity Encounter Las Vegas in 1999 with a galaxy of Vegas stars in attendance.
Rarely do you get the opportunity to be behind yourself, in the front, in the back.
You never know who's for real and who's not. And so I guess the only way to find out is put them out in the sun.
The Jewish Everly Brothers.
You know, you could get into premieres with that thing if you wanted to. You could use my credit card. You could, well, I won't tell you what else you could do. It wouldn't be the same, though. Just trust me on that.
Suitably housed in the make-believe world of the Venetian resort, Madame Tussaud's in Las Vegas does not yet have a line round the block, but the customers seem to like what's on offer.
with the figures that are in the attraction is you notice it's not walking around behind any velvet ropes like a museum. It's definitely get up, put your arm around them, take their picture, run your fingers through their hair, whatever you want to do. Crystal.
I'm the same size as Sylvester.
I could take them.
Pretty cool.
Jesus, it looks like he's trying to talk to you.
Here he comes, Muhammad Ali.
What we've taken from London is the history and the quality portraiture with working with wax and brought that here. When you come through Madame Tussaud's Las Vegas, you can see that it's very themed to Las Vegas. Where else can you come and see, you know, all of these Las Vegas icons all in one room standing together?
Madame Tussaud's US invasion has prompted a rush of new sittings with American celebrities.
135.3.
The demand is huge. Not content with Vegas, Tussaud's are also targeting the East Coast with a new exhibition in New York. The new attraction on 42nd Street will eventually have 200 portraits. To whet the appetite of the public in advance of the official opening, Tussaud's held a special unveiling for the city.
This guy could go around campaigning. They might like him better. He seems to smile more.
But behind the scenes at Madame Tussaud's, there are frowns as well as smiles. It's a hugely ambitious and risky venture.
It's an extremely important project to the company because New York, as we say, is the city of the world. And we want to take our place alongside with all of the other great entertainment offerings that are in the city.
Tussaud's do not expect to be successful by simply trying to transfer their 200-year-old London attraction to New York. Right from the drawing board, they have worked on a different strategy, aimed at keeping the quality of the product, but moulding it to the new environment.
We want to become part of the fabric of the community. We want to take on the face of the place, if you will. This is not about creating a franchise. This is about taking a brand, a well-established brand, that represents quality and history and heritage and fun, and bringing that to a city, in this case New York, and making New York a piece of that experience. We think if we can establish ourselves and be looked on from New Yorkers, hopefully someday as they look on Radio City Music Hall or the Macy's Parade and say, you have to go to Tussaud's when you come here, then we think we've succeeded.
New York is where the Michel Kwan figure is destined. At present, the original clay sculpture is locked inside this plaster piece mould. When the plaster is set, the moulder removes the individual sections one by one and reassembles them. This is one part of the process Madame Tussaud wouldn't recognize. She made her bodies in leather and horsehair. Today they're cast in fiberglass and resin. The clay figure is no longer needed. It will be recycled to make another celebrity. Meanwhile, the head will be made from 100% pure beeswax, heated to 76 degrees. The wax will be poured into the head mould, again constructed in pieces around the original clay. With the clay now flushed out, the molten wax is poured into the mould. They work carefully to avoid bubbles, which could spoil all their efforts. Once the wax is set, the head can be cast from the mould. The moulds can be reused, and this is the second casting of the Michel Kwan head. Jenny was unhappy with the first.
Oh, that's better, isn't it?
Yep, I like it.
Tiny little pull there. It's coming off a lot better than the first one. I think always the first one out of the mould isn't as good as the second one for some reason.
Take the back piece off first of all, and then these
Can you
side
hold
pieces. No, you're right. Come away.
So that got the bottom of the ear in it, on the behind.
Removing the mould pieces around the ears is always tricky. The ear can easily break off, and the process has to be repeated all over again.
Like that.
Tiny bit of the mould's come off now.
Yeah, that's not too much of a problem. Perfect.
Yeah, I can do that one. Thank you.
this stage, Michel Coin's body is in pieces all over Madame Tussaud's studios. Lisa Partridge is making her eyes.
Well, basically we have to get from a button like this to the finished eyeball like this. We start off with a button which is painted using watercolour and varnish. We then get it into a mould, into the oven, and it comes out like this, which is the sclera, which is the whites. From then on we add tiny silk threads to make the veins. And from then on, the last stage, after a couple of hours in the oven, is this one here. Well, we find the eyes are the first thing that people look at when they're looking at the portrait. If the eyes aren't right, it's just not the person. The most important way to make the eyes seem alive is to really, really polish them so they are glinting and shining and they look perfect. No one has dull eyes.
After the eyes comes the hair. Tussaud's never use wigs on their portraits. They use real human hair inserted strand by strand.
As you can see, I place the hair onto the wax, pick up individual hair and insert it flat to the wax with the hair curl going in the direction I need it to be.
David will insert about 100,000 hairs into the wax scalp. The skill lies in mimicking the pattern of how human hair grows.
I've been working on this now for approximately 2.5 weeks. Most of that time was spent on the hairline because she's got quite a distinctive hairline, sweeping effects, real fine hairs. And once I've done that, I'll spend the rest of the day working on this area here to finish the hairline off. And then I'll work on the back of the head, which I'll work out where the crown's going to go, the direction of the hair to the crown. And it will probably take another week.
Last of all is the colouring, when fine oil paints are added to the wax to imitate human skin. The portrait is finally finished and can now be unveiled. But what will the real Michel Coin make of it?
I can't wait to see it.
Los Angeles and the Health South ice rink in El Segundo. Today, Madame Tussaud's wax portrait of Michel Coin will be unveiled on the ice for press and television. Michel hasn't seen her double yet, and before the cameras arrive, she's about to be given a sneak preview. We were there to see her reaction.
That is so great. My family's gonna freak when they see this. That's so amazing. How did they get the hair there? They're getting rid of the hair too. That's scary, man. And the costume, wow. It looks like she's gonna move. She's gonna blink. Okay. And my birthmark. When I see a picture that someone draws of me, it does not look like me. But to see an actual, life-size wax of me, it's amazing because it's actually quite scary. I'm looking at it and it looks like it's just going to move or something, but then I realize, hey, wait a minute, I'm right here, I can't move.
And she'll be able to get up closer after it's unveiled.
Now it's time to see the reaction of others, and there's a good turnout from the press to record the unveiling.
But this is better than just opening it like that.
What time do you think we're going to start?
Be fun to see them next to each other, and when this is unveiled on the ice, it's going to be fun if you ask someone, which one's Michelle? Which one's the real Michelle? I hope they get it right.
Okay, Michelle.
Everyone seems genuinely impressed. The cameras crowd in for close-ups. Michelle's young fans are curious about her double. And most importantly of all, Michelle's mum is happy with the likeness.
She's signing skates.
Tomorrow's news will cover the story, and Madame Tussaud's assault on the United States advances another step. Back home in London at the original Madame Tussaud's, the final experience for visitors is a ride in a London taxi. It's a journey from past to present, a parallel of Tussaud's own progress over 2 centuries.
We're very much in the business of wax, and it's, I think, our intention to stay in the business of wax as long as people have their fascination with fame, and as long as they're still wanting to come and see famous people, they're still wanting to come and measure up against them. It's still our pleasure to produce them and show them and let them have that experience.
Madame Tussauds also has a presence in Las Vegas in the Venetian, the latest in a long line of themed hotels and casinos. Join us next for a tour of dream factories at the frontiers of construction.